Okay, hey, I just want to do a quick little testing to see if my earbuds are working with this live stream. So hold on just a second. One moment, please. I need to get my other item over here and just turn it on. Let's see what's happening. I did not schedule anything. I just jumped on. And so if anybody is listening, that's fine. If you're not listening, that's fine too. I just need to work on my Sorry, I just need to work on this to make sure that it is working properly. So, hang on just a second to make sure it can be heard. Let's see. So, hang on just a second. I also want to play something. Hang on. Let me make sure this works. I know. Hang on. Just a minute. Okay, I also want to play something. Hang on. Let me make sure this works. I know. Hang on. Just a minute. Okay, I also want to play something. Hang on. Let me make sure this works. I know. Hang on. Just a minute.
From the Colleton County Courthouse in Walterboro, South Carolina. This is where
let's
Alex
play this for a
Murdaugh's
minute.
murder trial is
talk
well
about
underway. Gloria Satterfield was
what happened
more
to
than an employee to the Murdaugh family. She was a friend.
So I wanted to talk about Alex Murdaugh and how he took advantage of this family, which is just one of the many things or many people he'd taken advantage of in his life. Okay, my poor little dog's over here sitting by me. He's all sad. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about this a little bit today, and let me remove that right there. But I also did not want to have that back noise popping up, so I'm going to wear the earbud. I finally was able to connect my Apple earbud to my actual laptop. That has not worked until yesterday. I was able to fix this. So I just need to make sure that as I'm doing it this way, that the audience can hear. In other words, I want everybody to be able to hear and not have any of that back noise coming that's usually happening when Sprinkle and I get on together. So this is my little test today to make sure it's working properly. So that's all I want to do. So hang on just a second. Let me see if it is picking it up properly. The microphone and the communications is there. Okay, I guess maybe it is. Let's see. Here we go.
And really a second mom to Buster and Paul. One day in February of 2018, Maggie Murdaugh called 911 reporting that Gloria had slipped and fell.
What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up.
Okay, you said she's fallen. She's bleeding from the head?
Yes.
Okay. How old is she?
I'm not sure, like 58 maybe.
Do you know if she fell from standing or not?
No.
Where'd she fall from?
She fell going up the steps, up the brick steps.
Okay, so she outside or inside?
Outside.
Okay. How many steps is there?
8.
Okay, is she on the ground or is she up near the
She's
top?
on the ground. She's on the ground.
Is she conscious?
No, not really.
Now, Maggie Murdaugh, what?
Can you imagine the horror of this situation right here? She goes to work one day and she never comes home. And then for this family to find out that he had sued this insurance company and also got more money, that he kept the money instead of giving it to them. Can you imagine the horror that they must have felt learning that he had done this to them? This was their mother. This is something important in their life. This is the lowest of the low that I think Alex Murdaugh could go, other than taking the lives of his wife and his children. But he defrauded a lot of people, even his partners. But his own housekeeper's family, people he acted like he cared about, just like his wife and his son, he acted like he cared about. That is the lowest of the low. But hang on just a second. Y'all just bear with me for just a second. I need to check one other thing. I know, but I just have to make sure everything's working properly because I don't want to have this problem anymore. So here we go. Hang on. Hang on just a second. I'm going to turn my microphone off for a minute.
Wasn't the only Murdaugh family member to speak to 911 that day. Also, Paul got on the line and talked about what he was seeing.
Ma'am, she can't talk.
Okay, do you know,
She's cracked her head and there's blood on the concrete and she's bleeding out of her left ear.
okay, she's bleeding out of her ear?
And out of her head. She's cracked her skull.
Okay. All right, the other lady said that she had tried to stand up and fell down again?
No, I was holding her up. And
Okay.
she told me to turn her loose and she was trying to use her arm, but then she fell back over.
Okay, do you guys know who she is?
Yes, she works for us.
Okay, do you know if she's ever had a stroke or anything before?
Ma'am, can you stop asking her these
I
questions?
already have them on the way. I already have them on the way. Me asking questions does not slow them down in any way. These are relevant questions that I have to ask for the ambulance. One of my questions is, has she ever had a stroke?
I don't believe she's ever had a stroke, not that I know of.
Okay.
Gloria Satterfield was in the hospital for several weeks. She regained consciousness a few times, but we're told she would only say things like, I love you. She really couldn't say what had happened to her. She fell on February 2nd of 2018 and died about 3 weeks later. The Murdaughs weren't the only people who knew Gloria Satterfield. Also, the law partner of Alex Murdaugh spoke about her at the trial.
Do you know a person by the name of Gloria Satterfield? Or do you know of a person by the name of Gloria Satterfield?
No, I knew Gloria. I knew her for a lot of years.
And did she have any employment relationship with the defendant, to your knowledge?
Yes, she did. And when my children were first born, she helped my wife out a little bit with some laundry and stuff.
What, to your understanding, happened to her, if anything?
My understanding was that she was tripped by some of Alec and Maggie's dogs and hit her head, and approximately 3 weeks later, she died. I don't think she ever came out of the hospital.
Did you ever talk to the
And also, he talks about, well, they think that she was tripped by the dog. See, I don't believe that's what happened to her. I don't think so at all. I believe that somehow this was arranged to happen, just like everything else, because he needed quick money. How easy was it to defraud this family and by making sure that this happened? I mean, that's how I see this man. Everything he did was a premeditated, controlled a way to access money, period. That's all it was. Everything he did was for money. That's the disgusting part of him. Now, one of the best interviews that we've seen about him and this situation is absolutely the other housekeeper who we were watching the interview of the other day, and I need to go back and finish that interview as well as talk about Gloria Satterfield over here. And that's what I wanted to do this afternoon. I kind of wanted to jump on and talk about these things for a minute and finish this up, because Sprinkled and I have some other things that we're going to work on, and we need to bring those forward as well. But I want to finish these first because there's a lot of things. I'm talking about a lot of different things. I also have my other situation with our false prophet over there that we are also talking about, that just gets worse and worse and worse. Anyway, so let's go back and listen to a little bit more about what happened to this poor woman. Hang on.
defendant about that event?
I recall having a brief conversation. It really wasn't a conversation. It was more him saying that the dogs knocked it down and that the kids were going to sue him for Gloria's death.
All right. The kids, which kids are you talking about?
Gloria's 2 boys, I believe she has.
When you say the kids were going to sue him, did he say it in the fashion of that was going to be an aggressive suit, or did he say it in the way that he was going to help out?
Oh, I understood exactly that it was going to be a friendly insurance claim, so to speak, so that, hey, this happened in hopes that the insurance company would probably pay them some amount of money. I took it to help them out.
Did you ever have any other conversations with him about that case other than that one?
Never had another
Hey,
conversation.
Cinderella, how you doing?
Well, no, I've never had another conversation with him about it.
Gloria's son, Tony Satterfield, said that Alex Murdaugh approached him with that offer to sue him. Tony Satterfield and his brother.
Good to see you, Cinderella. Cinderella. Yeah, where's the freaking money? Yeah. I mean, can you imagine how that family felt? Hey, I mean, it's just, I'm good today. So glad to see you. I'm just trying to get through a lot of the things that I wanted to talk about that I'd started on and never finished because I can't, you know how it is with me, that little tension death. I just started and then I get sidetracked because I get just talking about something else over here and then I got to circle back around to get back where I started out talking about it. But, I just have a lot of things in my mind. We have, Sprinkled Donut and I have a lot of things we want to talk about. So she works during the day. And so I'm like, well, let me go on during the day and I also needed to test out my earbud to stop this background noise that we were having over here on our channel. I mean, poor defending a woman's warrior text. She sent a little comment about, hey, blah blah blah, earbuds, and I said we're working on it. We're working on it. So once I finally got my Apple earbuds to connect to this Lenovo computer, which I did not know would connect until yesterday, it made everything. It made a huge difference. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't hear that background noise. Yay! So anyway, so good to see you, Cinderella. Thanks for coming in. I hope you stay and enjoy this a little bit. Well, it's not enjoy, but it's really just how big of a monster is he? This man, and I hope that the district clerk over there does not cause this man to get a new trial with her bullshit that she pulled about discussing this trial in front of those jurors and making the comments that she made. She's also a liar, Anyway, let's go back and listen a little bit more. And then after we talk about her, Gloria Satterfield's family, I'm going to go back and switch over to the housekeeper that I had started her interview. Her interview is great. A lot of information. She really knows a lot about this family, and she has a perspective that we can't see from any other members of the people who knew them or the family members that talked about them. I just enjoy listening to her. So here we go. And her book is beautiful. I'm going to buy her book, and I want to read it with you guys. So hold on.
Brother and other family members had gotten to know Alex Murdaugh over time since Gloria had worked for the family for 20 years.
20 years.
What was that conversation you had with the defendant at the funeral or thereabouts?
If I remember correctly, I'm gonna kind of take care of you boys and kind of,
He was going to do what? I'm sorry?
take care of you boys.
All right. Did he say how he was going to do that?
Partially, yes.
Then what did he say?
He was gonna file a claim against his insurance company.
He's going to what?
File a claim against his insurance company.
His insurance company?
Yes.
Did he say how much coverage there was?
Like 505,000, I believe.
505,000?
Yes.
And did he say anything about how much money you may receive?
The goal was to get me and my brother Brian at least $100,000 apiece.
And did any other bills need to be taken care of?
The medical bills.
For who?
My mom.
When he told you that, did you agree to do that?
Yes.
That happened in 2018. Tony Satterfield said that he would occasionally call Alex Murdaugh to check in on the status of the case, even sending him hospital bills because he needed help.
Tell the jury quickly what this is about. Can you see it on the screen? I can bring it back to you if you need.
Okay. So this is a cover sheet that I attached to the documents that I sent Alex.
Okay. And what kind of documents? Do you remember what kind they were?
One with a hospital bill and one.
Quickly, I don't mean to interrupt, but here's the thing people don't realize. Alex had already collected this money. Okay, he's over there stringing these boys along. They've lost their mother. They've gotten medical bills that they could never pay ever. And he's already received the money. He's just stringing them along because that's the kind of piece of shit Alex Murdaugh was. So here we go.
One was from the trailer company, I believe. I don't recall exactly what it was.
The trailer company for who?
My mom.
For your mom. And the hospital bill for who?
Yes, my mom.
Your mom. And you sent these to him because they were relevant to the case?
Yes.
At any point in time, did you, as this case was developing, did you go and meet with the defendant at his office?
Yes.
Did he have any paperwork for you?
Yes.
Did he get you to sign some paperwork?
Yes.
Did you become the personal representative of your mom's estate?
I did.
And who gave you the paperwork to sign for that?
Alex.
When you signed that paperwork, were you aware that there had already been a...
Can't leave the witness.
At some point in time, did Alex say he wanted to involve another lawyer?
Yes.
And who was that?
Corey Fleming.
And what did he tell you about that?
If I understood it correctly, I'm gonna send you to Corey Fleming, my friend, because I can't do it again. Do the claim against myself because it'd be a conflict of interest. That's how I understood it.
And did you ultimately meet with Corey Fleming?
Yes.
How many times did you meet?
Cinderella, I watched that on Hulu, and I wished I could play it here on my channel and everybody watch and talk about it together. But I think that'd be a huge copyright problem, and I'd probably lose my channel over it. But dang, I would love to, because it's interesting. But there are parts about it that I don't think actually align exactly with what we saw in the trial and all of the other things. But anyway, let's go back to listen to the rest of this. I mean, when this guy talks about the trailer, that is the home these boys were living in when this happened to their mother. I mean, they would have been homeless, and he's over there, being Alex Murdaugh, the asshole that he is. Here we go.
If I recall correctly, maybe once or twice.
Corey Fleming is a lawyer who is a friend of Alex Murdaugh's. By this time, Alex Murdaugh had recovered about $500,000 in insurance money and possibly more.
Did he ever tell you about a $505,000 settlement that already had occurred?
No.
Did the defendant ever tell you that he also had a $5 million umbrella policy?
No.
Did he ever tell you that there had been a recovery against that?
No.
Did he ever tell you that there had been a recovery for $3.8 million against that?
No.
Did he ever pay you one penny of $3.8 million?
No.
Okay, imagine that. He had the $500,000 that he owed them money from, because that was what he told them. We're going to do a friendly suit here so I can help you out. And then there's the $3.8 million that he personally took as a settlement from the accident on his property that those children never got a dime of. And by the time they found out the money was available, it was already all gone and spent. That is low as low can go. That is almost, not exactly equal to him taking the life of his wife and child, and it was all over money. Every bit of it was over money. So here these children are that without their mom, and about to be homeless and everything else, and he's over there just spending like crazy on other people's money, because he lived his whole life over there on other people's money. That is low as low can go. Here we go.
Just to clear this up, how often would you talk to the defendant?
3 to 4 times a year or something, I believe. I can't recall.
3 or 4 times a year trying to get help.
Or would you talk by text, or both?
Both.
And when you would talk to him, would you ask about the status of your case?
Yes.
And each time you talked to him, what did he say?
It was making progress.
Making progress. Did he say it was a hard case or not?
Yes.
Did he ever tell you about how much money he might be able to get for you?
The goal was to get $100,000 apiece for me and my brother.
At any time over the years, did he ever tell you that there had already been a recovery in the case?
No.
At any time over the years, did he mention anything about having a $5 million umbrella policy?
No.
At any time, did he ever pay you one penny?
No.
The umbrella policy that Alex Murdaugh had also came up in testimony about the boat case, where Paul Murdaugh was criminally charged with boating while intoxicated and causing Mallory Beach's death. The attorney for Mallory's family in the civil lawsuit talked about what he found out about that policy.
Did you ever find out if the defendant had an umbrella policy or the status of that policy?
There was no coverage for this boat crash other than with Progressive on the boat.
Did the defendant have an umbrella policy at one time, to your review?
He had coverage. He had the coverage with Lloyd's of London and Nautilus immediately before, which was the coverage that was in effect when Gloria Satterfield fell at his house. And he had an umbrella policy there.
All right. And what happened to that policy, that coverage?
The policy came up for renewal. Normally they're a year. It comes up for renewal and this claim's still open. And so when it came up for renewal, the insurance company wouldn't renew the policy and they canceled it, which is why he then went and bought this hunting club operation or hunting for hire operation, whatever that policy was, but didn't really cover anything because he didn't have that kind of business.
In your assessment and judgment, would that Philadelphia hunting lodge policy provide any coverage for the boating accident?
It did not. I told Danny Henderson in November of 2019 that it did not. Philadelphia filed something called.
So imagine that. There it is. The boating accident happens, and he has lied to this insurance company to get an umbrella policy after what happened to Gloria Satterfield on his property, because that's the only way he could get this policy, and it did not even cover the boating accident because he lied about what kind of operation he had. As usual, once he just lied about every single thing. What I don't understand about this case, and I'm sure a lot of people have the same questions I do, is how in the world did Maggie not realize all that was going on there? How did Maggie not know how bad the financial situation was? I just wonder about that. I wonder what she really did know and what she didn't know. And I really felt so bad for her, having to live. And basically, I don't know if she knew he was a monster, because he is a monster. He was always a monster. Just always thinking up ways to get one over on other people, which could have made him a good lawyer. I don't know. I mean, I just think that there's just so much about this situation we're never really going to know. And he's never going to tell the truth. Like all the other criminals, like all the other sociopaths and psychopaths that we've seen who are able to be family annihilators, they will never be honest about any of it. They can't. Even him claiming that he had such a bad habit with narcotics, there's no way in hell that he could be walking around every day taking the amount of pills he said he was taking. He might have been taking some pills every day, but not to the amount that he was taking. Hey, Leslie, so good to see you, girl. I just jumped on. I didn't even announce. I just kind of wanted to come on and talk a little bit. It's okay. I'm glad to see you. Glad to see you, Leslie. You been doing okay? Everything all right? I mean, I know a lot of y'all have been dealing with a lot here lately, and I'm just so happy to see you when you come in. I'm always easy about this. It's like, come whenever you can. I'm fine with it. No pressure over here. It's fine. I just enjoy seeing you guys when I see you guys. But this guy, it's just every time we hear people talk, it just gets worse and worse when it comes to him. Now, I'm going to switch over to his other housekeeper and the interview that she did. I think her name's Bianca. Yeah. She goes, yeah. You go to the doctor to see if your foot is, oh, Lord, girl, I hope it's not. That's bad, especially in the holiday season. Girl, what did you do? How did you fall? Did you trip? I mean, go ahead. If you want to tell us, tell us. If you don't, it's okay too. I'm just worried about you. I'm like, there's nothing worse than having something broken where you can't walk. I'm telling you, have you ever had to do crutches? Crutches suck. They do. They suck for people. So anyway, let me pull this up over here while we talk for a minute. Because I'm gonna switch gears on us, and we're gonna go over to the other housekeeper's interview about her book. And we're going to because we started on it, but we didn't finish it. I had to get off for some reason. I had to get off that night or something, but I don't know. She did just a beautiful job. So her name is, I think it's Bianca or Blanca. Let me see. I can't remember. And Alex Murdaugh. Hang on a minute. It's cold right now in Texas, and I don't like cold at all. It's cold and wet and just everything I don't like. Okay. Okay, here she is. There she is. Now let's talk about this. Here's the tell all for her right here. And there was a part 2 of this somewhere that I'm looking for. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, here we
I said, oh my God, he did it.
All right. Now, hang on a second, guys. Whoops. I know we watched part of this, but I don't think we watched all of it. Let me get back over here. I think we ended up somewhere over in here. Here we go. Oops, I got to start it. Hang on.
Wasn't a shirt on the
All right,
floor.
there we go. Yeah.
You just can't, you can tell them you don't remember, correct?
You slipped on something.
What
Oh,
was your
no.
You can't tell this
Ooh,
jury
shit.
there wasn't
That's
a
bad.
shirt on the floor because you can't remember whether there was a shirt on the floor or not. Isn't that what you told the grand jury?
Yes,
Oh, yeah,
sir.
here we go.
Okay.
And I knew the clothing. They made fun because they said that I didn't know my name brands. I knew the name brands.
Okay, let me find this other
I
part.
knew the clothing that he had in there. But there was one, but the other one was not there.
You so eloquently in your retelling of all of this lay out for us why.
Okay, just a second, guys. I got to find this other part. Here it is, right here. All right.
The bodies certainly seem to be
Okay,
piling
here we
up,
go.
in the low country. I mean, first you've got Mallory Beach, then Maggie and Paul, and now
Full
another
credit
death.
to the CW
seems to be
network.
unaccounted for.
She does a really good
When
job.
Maggie and Paul were killed, everybody connected it back and started that rumor mill again about how the Murdaugh family may have been involved in Stephen Smith's murder just a few years previously.
Oops,
The
sorry.
night of July 8th, 2015, Stephen Smith was driving home. He was coming home late at night at 2 o'clock in the morning. And his car broke down on a very dark stretch of road about 3 miles from Alex and Maggie Murdaugh's home at the Zell. And supposedly what happened is he began walking down a dark country road to his home, and something happened. Some truck driver was driving down the road, and the truck driver called 911.
Can't County 911, where's your emergency? Hello, I just going down Crockettville Road. I see somebody laying out. You in the road. Somebody going to get it.
Stephen Smith, 19 years old, was found dead lying in the middle of Sandy Run Road.
My name is Sandy Smith, and I'm Stephen Smith's mother. I was on my way to work in Hampton on the car. I heard on this radio station that there was a body thrown out of a car on Sandy Run. Didn't think much about it. Stephen is a twin, and his sister's name is Stephanie. And later on, she called me, and she said, by the way, did Stephen spend the night with you last night? And I knew right there that was my baby in that road. My heart started pounding and went straight to my stomach. And it was like, it just started shaking.
Okay, I know there's absolutely no proof that that family was involved, but I really think they are involved, and I'll tell you why. Because why would anybody else be on that road? We already know that we have family members who have a habit of drinking and driving, things happening, and it's always just covered up because of their abilities in that county or that city to make things just kind of go away. Just like Gloria, and that accident, because Alex Murdaugh knew exactly how much money and how easy it would be to recoup that money if something happened to that housekeeper. That's my opinion. My opinion doesn't count for much. And I don't know if that's fact or not fact. It's just that, listen, whatever seems easiest or whatever makes the most sense is usually the correct thing that happened. You don't need to second guess it because anyway, here we go. Let's keep listening. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for the interruption.
It's devastating.
Poor thing.
It's hard to move on from that. We were first told that it was a gunshot wound. Later, we were told that he was beaten by a blunt object. Then the final cause was pedestrian versus vehicle. While he was walking.
Sorry. Why was she ever told it was a gunshot wound? They knew 100% it was never a gunshot wound. They knew it was always the most logical thing is he's walking down the road, he gets hit by a car. Why would they tell a mother that kind of thing? I tell you something. When this is just from my own personal experience, it's not that not that it's important to everybody, but the thing is, when you don't know where your child is, and then you hear something like this has happened, it is the most devastating news you can ever hear. And when I see some of these parents showing up, whatever, acting like they just moved on, like nothing ever happened within a matter of a week or whatever, do you know how that affects people like me who've lost children and people like you who've lost children? When you watch that, you know there is something very, very wrong. This lady's pain is real. Hang on a second, guys. Let's go back.
To get gas. Well, he had his cell phone and his key in his pocket, but his wallet was still in the car. So how are you going to get gas with your wallet still in the car?
The pathologist reached the conclusion that Stephen Smith was hit by a car and killed, and that it was a hit and run. But his clothes weren't ripped. His sneakers were still on. He had a couple of abrasions on his hand, on the inside of his arms, but the lion's share of his injuries were to his head. If you're ever hit by a car, you would have broken pelvis or broken knees. You would be thrown a long way and you would tumble and your clothes would rip. Shoes just get blown off your body. So it almost looked like Stephen was hurt or wounded or killed somewhere else, and he was laid down there. The investigators do interviews. Kids that they went to school with blamed Buster for Stephen's death. And that's why the Murdaugh name starts to be interwoven in the investigative file.
But I don't want to say to confirm. The only name that was given to me was the murder name.
For 6 years, Sandy Smith was a mother who lived without an answer of how her child died.
Stephen graduated from Wade Hampton High School in 2014. He knew Buster as a classmate.
Buster Murdaugh is Alec and Maggie's older son. To the public, Buster.
I'm going to say something here, and maybe I shouldn't, and I hope I don't get in trouble for it. But when you think about the reasons why they would think that he was involved, it leads you to think, was there something going on that nobody knew about? Was there something being hidden from the families between the two of them? We don't know. I mean, it would seem to me like, what other reason would there be for him to be involved in what happened to this boy? Anyway, here we go. Whoops, I didn't start it.
Looks like he's sort of this quiet kid. He wasn't a bad seed like Paul was perceived to be. Buster sort of seen just as like uber snobby.
Before Stephen passed away, he did tell me that he was fixing to go deep sea fishing. And I said, oh, cool, who are you going with? And he said, a friend. Said a prominent friend. I said, oh, okay. I said, where are you going? He said, Key West. Never thought about it. until somebody told me that there was a bunch of pictures posted of the Murdaughs Key West deep sea fishing. Then it was like, is there some kind of connection here?
People would pick on Stephen for being gay. So then, you kind of figure out that's not how people in Hampton think you should be. Stephen never hid who he was. He was always.
Stephen is a beautiful person. Look at him. Beautiful. He's model material. Just beautiful. I mean, I hate to see anything happen to anyone. And I mean, imagine how his twin feels. That I don't know how she manages every day because, twins have a connection that the rest of us don't have. Anyway, we'll go back and finish. Hang on.
Who he was, regardless of who liked him and who didn't.
He knew we loved him. We supported him in whatever he did.
That's looked down upon by a lot of people in Hampton County and in the South.
There is yet another case tied back to this family that has gone unsolved for years, and it wasn't until Paul and Maggie's murders that investigators gave this case a closer look. Social media seemed to be on fire about connections between Buster Murdaugh and the Stephen Smith death. But even though there were tips that had come in, he was never interviewed in the case and wasn't charged either.
SLED made it sound like they found something that would implicate Buster or Alec in Stephen Smith's death. And that ran like wildfire. And it was so defamatory to Buster. He'd been through so much. And these rumors just kept building. This is Maggie Murdaugh's Facebook page and some really sick comments. Buster's gay, and his father either knew or was about to find out. And of course, Stephen's death was ignored. A, this is so not true, and B, so disgusting. And C, I mean, why would someone go on Maggie Murdaugh's Facebook page with her family and desecrate it like that? I mean, it's a desecration. To this day, SLED won't come out and say Buster had nothing to do with it. And yet he's been twisting in the wind. During an investigation, Buster's name came up a few times. So,
Yeah, he has a twin sister. But now listen to this right now. They have never came out and cleared him as to not having anything to do with that situation. I don't know if he did or didn't, right? I don't know. But there just seems to be something there between those two that I don't think anybody else knows about. It could have been those two, it could have been him and Alec. It could have been something, but there's something that's happened between those families for whatever reason, and I really do believe that it's just like all these other cases. They know something that was never told, right? And they know the reason why it was never told, and the reason why he has never been cleared of any of the investigation into that. Nobody's been arrested, but nobody's been cleared. We have many cases like that over here with missing children and things like that. I'm not going to name those names today, but you all know the cases that I'm talking about. If you cannot clear them, then that is because there is something that has happened that gives reason for them to not be cleared. All right, we'll keep going here.
highway patrolman, you can't even identify the original source for Buster's name. It's just rank speculation. People are trying to associate Buster with Stephen
Just a
Smith,
beautiful
which
child.
There's no connection whatsoever.
But we're aware of no credible evidence that would link Buster Murdaugh to the death of Stephen Smith.
We have a wooden cross where Stephen was found, and it has Stephen's name on it. I want everyone to see it because there's somebody out there that knows something. I want you to remember where my son took his last breath.
Amen, Mother.
Now that the details of Stephen Smith's death have really resurfaced, right on the heels of Paul and Maggie's death, the suspicions in this community are really starting to percolate. And Buster and Alec seem to be on trial in the court of public opinion. And their dynasty is sort of on the edge.
So basically every day, we're waiting to hear if somebody's going to be arrested for the murders of Maggie and Paul. But then Labor Day weekend happens, and now we have the man at the center of it all getting shot at.
Okay, 911 was an emergency. I got a flat tire, and I stopped, and somebody stopped to help me. And when I turned my back, they tried to shoot me.
As if the murders weren't crazy enough, now another member of the Murdaugh family has been shot.
Oh, okay. Were you shot? Yes, I'm bleeding a lot. What part of your body? I'm not sure. Somewhere on my head. I'm bleeding pretty bad. What's your name?
He set it up himself.
Alex Murdaugh.
Andrew Davis out here in Hampton County right now with the story that really everybody is talking about.
My initial reaction was, is everybody being targeted? Then you get on the scene and you start to understand.
Okay, hey guys, just quickly, my little Frenchie is laying right here beside me, and poor boy, baby Jack. You know, you've seen pictures of him, but he snores a lot, so you're going to hear some noise. But I'm not going to wake him up. It is his nap time. He's just like a toddler. Anyway, let's keep going. Sorry about that.
Understand what's going on.
It was somewhere after 1:30 today. He claims he was on the side of the road trying to change a tire. Two men came up and then opened fire on him.
Do we have a serial killer on our hands? Do we have someone who's targeting this family specifically,
No.
and why?
We have another plotting.
Alec gets shot in the side of the head. There's an entrance wound right behind the ear and an exit wound sort of in the rear of the head, but it didn't kill him.
Once Alex sits down with SLED agents to give them more details about the shooting, he also gives them a detailed description of the suspect. Based on this, police put together a sketch of the assailant who allegedly shot Alec.
When they held that mugshot up, I mean, I was just in shock because at a glance, my first thought was he was trying to describe my son. And it was
Wow.
viral. I mean, somebody took one of Anthony's pictures and put it beside this sketch and saying, looks like he was trying to point the finger at Anthony the whole time.
I'm sure he was. So, you know, there's this question. Okay, now we talked about this the last time, and that was, who is the closer? Who is the person that helped Alex clean up and commit the crime that he committed against his family? We know there was somebody else there. The housekeeper has said she knows there was somebody else there, and she says she knows who the closer is. But because she wants to protect herself and her family, she will never come forward with it. You know what? I don't blame her, because we have seen so many people be taken out when they say too much from this family. Even though he is sitting in jail where he's going to sit for the rest of his life, I hope he still has that other person that's out there who helped him. You could hear in the recording, the phone call, when he's calling 911, you can absolutely hear him say, here, and the water hose, because he's instructing somebody where to be spraying the water hose to get rid of the evidence quickly. So Cinderella says, in my opinion, Alec is doing this, made him look too guilty of something, right? You know, and I do believe that he absolutely gave this child as the description on purpose, because he didn't want the other person to be found out. Of course, now the other person told on himself, and and we know why. We absolutely do know why. But you see, everything he has done was plotted and planned and intentional, and he was always trying to get away with it. His premeditation and the person he was trying to blame every single time. Let's go back and finish listening. I just had to say that. I'm sorry, guys. The man infuriates me. He really does.
Immediately, the internet starts going crazy. There was a lot of doubt out there. Everything seemed suspicious, and the public was definitely seeing it.
Just 2 days after this mysterious and bizarre shooting, Alex Murdaugh announced that he was entering rehab for a drug addiction that he'd been struggling with for several years.
Alex had a severe opioid addiction. He'd been to detox a couple of times, but he'd never gone on to the rehab portion of treatment. And I think at Paul's boating accident and Paul's charges and the stress of that, I think that just sent him into further addiction.
As we continued to cover the Murdaughs on News Nation, we were just stunned by how many layers continued to be peeled back on this story.
Alex Murdaugh found his wife and son dead 3 months ago, and then just days ago, he says he was shot in the head on the side of the road. Now he is accused of stealing money from the powerful law firm that he helped create.
Alex Murdaugh's law firm alleged that over a period of 9 years, he had made $14 million, but he had stolen $7 million at the same time.
Now, Alex Murdaugh has been accused of financial crimes. And this is where social media really kicked in.
Can you imagine spending $21 million? Think about this. He'd made 14, he'd stole 7. $21 million in those years is how much money he'd spent. What the hell? I mean, most people could not even imagine ever spending $1 million in a lifetime or $2 million in a lifetime. What did he have to show for it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everything was mortgaged. Everything was leveraged. He was in the hole everywhere. And I'm going to tell you something. It makes me sick to hear them try to blame his drug addiction as the reason why these things happen. Bullshit. It was his money. His love of money is the reason why these things happened.
And now they're hooked. So we were wondering, why isn't he getting arrested for this? Why isn't he being charged? And then we started to hear that there was a suspect in the shooting. So that became another explosive thing.
Overnight, investigators announced charges in connection to the shooting of Alex Murdaugh. South Carolina law enforcement officers arrested 61-year-old Curtis Smith for the roadside shooting that sent Alex Murdaugh to the hospital on September 4th.
Curtis Eddie Smith was a...
Curtis Smith looks nothing like Anthony, does he? What an asshole. He's trying to blame that other boy. I think the other person he's trying to blame was actually one of the friends of his children. Anthony. Here we go. Sorry, guys. I just had to say it.
distant relative of Alex. Over time, they became friends, and Eddie was able to get Alex, drugs, opioid pills.
The big question on everyone's mind, why would Curtis Eddie Smith want Alex Murdaugh dead? Within a day of Smith's arrest, there were already people on social media who had their doubts about this attempt on Alex Murdaugh's life. People were already questioning whether this was a weird, sort of dark ploy by Alex Murdaugh himself. But then a recorded interview between SLED agents and Alex Murdaugh reveals the real reason behind this roadside shooting, and social media explodes when this new info comes to light. Just days after the roadside shooting, SLED Senior Special Agent Ryan Kelly conducted a telephone interview with Alex Murdaugh. His lawyers, Harpootlian and Jim Griffin, were present. It was recorded, and there was a bombshell confession.
Curtis Eddie Smith is the primary person who I purchased pills from for years.
And some weeks you would give him how much money for pills?
We had weeks where there would be $50,000, $60,000.
Alex spent more money than he had on drugs.
Okay, bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit. I'll tell you why. If he was taking that many pills in a day's time, He would not have been walking around and still being able to plot all of these things. That is not why he paid that man so much money. He paid that man so much money to help him, in my opinion, do what he did. Right? Cinderella says that young man was in the boat accident, and it was his girlfriend that passed. Oh, there you go. So you see, okay, so we're going to blame Anthony because he needs to take the heat off of. Okay, got it. So was he also going to try to blame Anthony for what happened to Maggie and to his son? Was that what his plan was? What a piece of garbage. Here we go.
And that caused him to steal money to support his drug habit. He was writing checks for drugs.
I told him that things were getting ready to get really bad and that I would be better off not here. And I asked him to shoot me. And I think at first he was a little surprised, but then he said, okay.
Did you pay Curtis any money for this?
No, sir.
Lie.
I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I understand. I told him to follow me out and that I would make a flat tire and he would go past me and turn around and come back and do it.
So what was your intent?
For him to kill me. I thought that it would make it easier on my family for me to be dead. I have
Easier on Buster, right?
fair amount of life insurance.
Do you remember how much?
Now, off the top of my head, they're like $10 million, $12 million.
So your intent was to have him kill you so you could collect the life insurance, right?
So my son could.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I was about to lose everything, and I figured he's better off that way.
If you believe Alec, he needed Cousin Eddie to help him take his own life to get insurance money for his son. Not everybody believes that story. Some believe
I don't.
that Alec was hell-bent on making it look like Eddie was not only trying to kill Alec, but trying to kill his entire family.
He shot me.
Where did he shoot you?
He missed and hit me in the very back of the head.
I do think he was feeling desperate. The number one most important thing in the Murdaugh family is preserving power and wealth. And so, at the very least, I can leave this legacy to my surviving son.
Curtis Eddie Smith gets arrested, and he's charged with conspiring with Alec. And to this day, he still has these charges hanging over his head. Eddie's story is that Alec asked him to shoot him, and Eddie didn't want any part of that. And either the gun went off accidentally or he accidentally knocked Alec over and Alec hit his head on the ground. So we don't quite know what happened.
To this day, Smith denies ever being Alec's drug dealer or ever even being a drug user himself.
Alex Murdaugh, one of the most powerful men in South Carolina, turned himself into police today.
The big thing on social media about the roadside shooting came up when Alec appeared in court in Hampton County for his bond hearing. He was charged with insurance fraud and submitting a false police report.
Tonight, Alex Murdaugh out of jail and back in rehab. The once prominent attorney granted.
Okay, you just got to ask yourself, or I just have to ask. He admits to what he has done, or whatever, that something happened on the side of the road and that Alec asked him to do that, but has never served one day in jail for it, has never been, never had any sort of trial. I mean, did he get a sweet little deal that if he testified against Alex in the other trial, that he would not ever be charged in that crime that he helped Alex with? I mean, you got to wonder about that. Yes, Cinderella is absolutely. And Leslie, yeah, the family is crooked from back in the day, and he is spineless, Cinderella. You're correct about that. So I think about this. I mean, I would love to know why this distant cousin of his, I'm going to call him Cousin Eddie, I'd like to know why he was not ever formally charged and been to trial or pled guilty or anything. It's just like this charge is just hanging out there as if it was just a wet towel hanging on the line to dry. No big deal, right? Yeah, Alex's eyes are black, and yeah, and you're right. And here's the thing, haven't we talked about this before? We've always said when we look at these people who are family annihilators, or what is the one thing they all have in common? Black shark eyes. Exactly. Cold black shark eyes. Period. Every one of them. Go back and look at them. Every one of them. Just keep going here. But I mean, I just would like to, I really think that yes, if they have proof that he paid this other guy a bunch of money sporadically, I believe that it was really for one thing, and that was to help him try to get away with family annihilation. Here we go.
A $20,000 bond this afternoon and released on his own recognizance.
So that turned even more people against him specifically. Well, maybe he would then commit murder. What else was he doing to other people in Hampton County?
We started doing a lot of research into what other things that the Murdaughs might have been involved in. Then we found this obituary that showed Gloria Satterfield, the longtime housekeeper of Alec and Maggie Murdaugh, died under suspicious circumstances as well.
What was your emergency? 4147 Moselle Road. What's going on out there? My housekeeper has fallen and her head is bleeding. I cannot get her up.
Where'd she fall from?
She's still going up the steps, up the brick steps. She's on the ground. Is she
conscious?
No, not really. Well, I mean, she's mumbling.
Gloria was rushed to a hospital. She had an internal brain bleed, and she had 12 broken ribs. And she died 3 weeks later. There was a petition in December of 2018 that asked court approval for the Gloria Satterfield $500,000 settlement. After her death, there was a claim made, and a lot of money was recovered by Alex Murdaugh. And none of the money went to the Satterfield family. I've never had a case where an attorney took every cent from a client. And, quite frankly, I was in disbelief.
Once the news surfaced of another death connected to the Murdaugh family, and this one with financial swindling, social media just lit up, and everybody seemed to have a theory.
The Gloria Satterfield case ended up being a $4.3 million settlement.
Okay, in a minute they're going to show y'all this home and the stairs that from the front porch that she fell from, right, and broke 12 ribs, had a internal head injury, and died from. Now I want y'all to pay close attention to the staircase and the size of it and how many stairs that she supposedly fell. Because I'm going to tell you something. I fell down our staircase here at this house, which is a whole funny story. It's not funny because I ended up having to have back surgery. But I fell. My fall was worse than this lady's fall. I don't think that's what happened to her. I think this was staged. But here we go, y'all. Let's watch. Whoops. Here we go.
And we're not just talking about this one settlement.
He stole from not only the Satterfield family, but for a full 16 years, Alex Murdaugh was stealing from other clients. It's sad because his victims, they're people who come to the Murdaugh law firm in the most distressing of times. Alex was able to prey on these people because they didn't know any better, which is shameful. It's one of the worst financial abuses I've ever seen.
We know that there was money and that the clients didn't get it. So why isn't he getting arrested for this? So there began to be more calls online for law enforcement agents to do something.
South Carolina's law enforcement division arrested Alex Murdaugh in Florida right after his release from a drug rehabilitation facility in Orlando. He's accused of stealing $4.3 million in insurance settlement money from Gloria Satterfield's
$4.3
son.
million.
And then in October of 2021, he just left his rehab and he got arrested in the Satterfield case. So that was the last stick of freedom that he had.
We obtained arrest warrants of Alec. We needed to get him in custody as soon as possible. My name is Creighton Waters, and I was the lead prosecutor in the Murdaugh case.
Yeah, Cinderella. I believe they did try to blame this on Buddy. But you know what? The thing about the dog named Buddy, that dog actually lives with the other housekeeper that wrote the book. She actually adopted Buddy and took her home. And I think that's a beautiful end to that part because the dog did not do anything wrong. And Gloria. You think Gloria confronted Alec? Yeah, I think something happened there that I think Gloria knew a whole lot about what was going on, right? But you got to think about this: 16 years he's over there stealing money, and nobody's noticing this. The law firm is not watching money come in and go out from these settlements. I don't even understand how. Because there's checks and balances, you have books, you have taxes, that you have corporations have tax return. That money, I mean, that money, somebody knew besides Alec that something was going on with this money. And who is that? Because there's no way he could have done this by himself through that law firm for 16 years. No, hell no. So let's hear the real truth, right, Leslie? I think she was pushed or thrown down. Yeah, I do too. Because the staircase. Let me see if I can show you this. Hang on a second, guys. Whoops. Hang on. I hit the wrong thing. Let me get this iPad out of the way before I knock myself out. I always seem to lose my stream or whatever. Let me see if I can show you something here. Okay. I don't know if it's going to let me show you this one. Let's see. Okay. I might have to change. I don't think I can show anyway, they'll show it again in a minute. But this staircase is small. Very small. So I don't know if I can switch on this or not. Can you share screen twice? No, I don't think. Oh, hold on a minute. I think I can do this. Hang on. Now let's do this. We're going to share the screen and I'm going to show you this house. Oh, here we go. There it is. Share. All right. Now, look at that staircase right there. Do you see that tiny little staircase right there? There's 3 or 4 steps. And you're going to tell me that she had a lethal head injury and 12 broken ribs from a dog that supposedly made her trip. No. There's no way that she was injured like that from a dog. Why was he so quick? Why was he so quick? So quick to here, let's go ahead and we'll just do a friendly lawsuit to the boys, to that family. He took advantage of people that were vulnerable. He took advantage of people who he knew that he was able to what's the word I want to use? He just knew that he could manipulate them easily because he knew that their background did not include the education that he had. And I'm going to ask you something else because this doesn't make sense either. How in the world, if he was doing that many drugs as he claims he was, spending that much amount of money on drugs like he says he was, how in the world was his mind clear enough to manipulate and continue this for 16 years? Tell me. Yes, the office bookkeeper, somebody else was in on this deal. Now, we don't know who yet, but somebody else was in on it. So let's go back. I just wanted to show you that. There's just no way that that tiny little set of stairs right there caused all that damage. I'll never believe that. Okay, so let me unshare the screen and kind of fix this over here and get us back where we were. Okay.
Came out for the first round of indictments against him.
Whoops, I got to get that off of there.
And ultimately, he received a $7 million bond on those charges.
Alex was charged with and agreed that he stole $9 million.
Whoa.
Emily Limehouse, the assistant United States district attorney, said no, he stole $10.5 million.
That was
10.5
because we were seeing a Murdaugh in his family's courthouse, basically, in prison guard. So that was huge. There's a certain amount of satisfaction in that.
Right around this time, the Murdaugh saga goes sideways because SLED makes an announcement that Alex Murdaugh is actually a person of interest in the deaths of his own wife and son, Maggie and Paul.
In June of 2022, we had a meeting with the Attorney General, and we presented the evidence we need to go ahead and charge him. And so he was indicted for the murders in July.
It felt like kind of like a minor victory in the sense that like I'm seeing accountability happen.
Alex Murdaugh pleads not guilty, so that means this thing is headed to trial. The number one question, is this guy going to get off?
All right, we have to move to part two now. Hang on a second. But let me go to my next cue, what I have up here.
It's a story that
here we go. Now,
it's a story that everyone thinks
here we
they
go.
know the truth about. It's a story that only a few people were able to see from the beginning. And I'm joined by one of the people who knows the story better than anyone, Blanca Simpson, former housekeeper to the family of Alex Murdaugh. Blanca, first of all, thank you for making the time to sit down with us.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. I want to start with who this family was before the international firestorm, before the crime of the century in South Carolina, before the trial of the century. Who were the Murdaughs as you knew them before all of that?
They were the big socialites in Hampton County. They were the ones that everybody wanted to be seen with, around, hanging out. They were the family that everybody, they just had that personality. You know, you were around them, you had fun. And I guess that's why people like them. You know, they always laughing, joking, and people enjoyed being around them. Yeah. And Maggie loved to entertain people. Alec, you know, the same thing with him. You know, he loved being in the center of attention, and the jokester. And, you know, basically, if you were around the Murdaughs, you were the in crowd. Maybe some people would disagree, but that's what I observed, you know, throughout the years. People just trying to come around. Anything would that would happen around the house or whatever, it was like people would come out there, hey, what's going on? You know, just trying to make themselves, you know, useful or see if they needed anything. So people appreciated. Alec used to do things for them, and people showed appreciation for that. You know, whatever, if he helped them out with, you know, a minor infraction, or people were appreciative of him, and they would do things, you know, they would come and either offer to do whatever little jobs around the house or whatever. He always, he took care of the people that helped him. And he was good to people. And
what about their relationships with each other? You obviously saw them closer in a real setting, you know, when their guard was down, when they were being their real selves. What were those relationships like?
I've said it numerous times. They were like teenagers, especially after the boys went off to college. They would go out to dinner. They would go out to the movies in the middle of the week. They, on the weekends, they would go off together. She was always with him wherever he went. He would take her, and before he could even say, "Hey, you want to go?" She had her bag packed. She was going, and they just spent a lot more time together since the boys were off in college, and they were alone. It was just her, the two dogs, and Alec. There at the house. So, yeah.
Do you feel that part of their relationship has been lost in a lot of the portrayals, a lot of the coverage, a lot of the Murdaugh, empire that's been created in the media? Do you think who they really were has been lost?
I do believe it has been lost. They don't. I think part of it has to do with the fact that the public wants to see the villain. The I guess the villainous side is what sells, what gets people to watch your shows. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of that going on, and people want to see that. They don't want to hear the other side. And I'm not. And what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to say how he was prior to this, horrible incident. But they were normal. They were normal.
Okay, she's saying how he was prior to this incident. The problem is he was always this way, the narcissist, psychopathic, abuser. He was masking it when he was at home with the family, but in his mind, it was always ticking his next move because he always had to cover this money. It's like somebody in a pyramid scheme over there, having to collect more money to take care of the other money always paying, robbing from Peter to pay Paul is basically the way I understand this is how his life was working. It was a constant search for new money to support this lifestyle. But I don't think that the thing is Maggie was not involved in what he was doing. And I don't know what she knew or didn't know, but I don't think she was masking anything. I think that in the end she was figuring some things out, and I think that he had to do something to cover up what was about to be coming out. That's what I think happened here. But that is the only I think knowing that all this was fixed to explode, was he trying to garner sympathy from the whole town by this happening, thinking that he was just going to get away with it? I don't know, but think about that for a second. Here we go.
Normal family. They had their normal issues with their teenage boys. When they were young, the boys would get in trouble. They, like teenagers, they got into things, and just like any of the other kids. And I just want to make sure people know that there was another side to them, and what happened was just a decision he made.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about Maggie and your relationship with Maggie. Was she the member of the family that you were closest with?
In the beginning, when I first went there, it was never my intention to go in there and become, friends or anything like that. I usually keep to myself. I don't really say much, but I just enjoy going in there and organizing and getting everything to make it, not only to make it easier on the family, but it was just the way that I was trained, the way that I was taught. And it also makes it easier for you as well if you organize the family. So I went in there with that purpose, and we just kind of hit it off. There was the initial when I first met her, I remember Alex said, just go in through the garage and just go right in the door. Well, I wasn't going to just walk in the door. I knocked, and this loud, woman called, come on in, in her little southern twang that I call it. And I walked in. I saw Gloria. Miss Gloria was there. Miss Barbara was there. They were helping her. And then another young lady that also worked there probably a few months when I started going there. Her name was Nora. She was killed in a car accident. But that was after,
Okay, so another person dead. Hang on.
she had stopped working there. But so she had some ladies. Miss Barbara was just helping her temporarily. But when I met her, she introduced me. She said, hey, y'all, this is Alex's friend, Blanca. Blanca, this is everybody. And everybody just kind of gave me their names. And I didn't know Miss Gloria, but I worked with her sister. Her and I used to work together, and Ginger and I worked at the federal prison. So that's how I knew Ginger.
Small
and
town.
I knew Miss Gloria's brother, because he was the manager at the local Piggly Wiggly. And my daughter used to work for him. So I kind of knew the Gloria's family, but I had never met Gloria until that day. And then Gloria just kind of took, Miss Gloria just took me under her wing. And from there, she just told me, this days we do this, on this day we do that. And I just caught on. And after that, I mean, whatever they needed to do, I just started doing it. I don't tell me how you need to do it once and that's it,
Okay, so I just now realized from listening to this right here that she had met Gloria Satterfield, that she was already sort of working there whenever this accident happens to Gloria Satterfield. And nobody questioned. Nobody questioned. They just assumed that she fell down the stairs and that was that. Nobody thought anything about it. Wow, hang on.
I'll take care of it and do it. And that's just the way that I was. And I think she had liked that approach, that I wasn't constantly, everybody else was like, Miss Maggie, calling her. What, I never did. I just did it. She didn't like, she would tell me. If she didn't like how something was done, she would tell you, or she would call you and tell you, hey, or if something was missing, she'd call you. It didn't matter. But I never had that problem with her. So she was.
You mentioned Miss Gloria. Obviously, her death is a huge part of this story.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Did you, in the aftermath of her passing, what went through your mind at that time? Obviously, we now know all of these details about the fraud Alex Murdaugh perpetrated on her family members, allegations that perhaps her death wasn't an accident. There's been a lot of speculation about that, but did you see any of that or suspect anything like that could be happening?
No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Gloria was so loyal to that family. I never imagined. And as a matter of fact, I had spoken to her probably about a week before she passed. And I found out of her passing because I ran into her cousin. I knew when she went to the hospital, but I didn't know that she had passed until I ran into one of her cousins. And I asked her, I said, hey, I haven't had a chance, I've been busy. How's Miss Gloria doing? And she said she passed. So, and like I said, I'm not on social media. I'm not on any of that. I don't. So I didn't know any of what was going on. I don't. Like I said before, the one who used to spill the tea and gossip and all that was Maggie. She would tell me what was going on in the town. So I figured I didn't need no social media, So from when I found out about her passing, I ran into her a couple of times. And you could tell that she was down about Gloria. And it had nothing to do with Gloria, not, cleaning her house or doing it. It had nothing. You could tell it was sincere. She really did miss her, When you get used to people doing certain things, certain ways, and you just want to turn around and it's like as for me, when Maggie passed, I would go into the laundry room and just look out the window and start talking, and I think she would do the same, and then she would catch herself talking about, oops, So, yeah, and Paul took it hard as well. He really took Miss Gloria's death pretty hard.
For 20 years of service to that family, that is what their family got in return, is to be cheated out of $3.8 million. Think about that. What a great friend. What a great, great family, right? Gosh, Alec, how do you feel about that? Probably nothing, because we all know that psychopaths or sociopaths, whatever, they have no empathy. They feel nothing. They don't have remorse. They don't care. They don't understand how we can care about other people, how we have empathy for other people, because they have none. They're void of that kind of thing, which is, to me, is quite a study. I don't understand how anybody could walk around not having those feelings. I mean, think it's hard to imagine, isn't it? Yeah, they are. I guess that powerful family in that area, but we're talking about seriously powerful, not like some of these other people over in this other city where something's happened. People claim that these people are buying people off and all that, because those people don't have that kind of money. The Murdaughs did have that kind of money, but still, um, I'm pretty sure that Alec thought he was going to get away with all of this, and everybody's just going to feel sorry for him. Anyway, here we go. Let's keep going. I really can't wait to buy her book so we can talk about it.
As things progressed to June 7, 2021, prosecutors who ultimately convicted Alex Murdaugh of the murders of Maggie and Paul described a gathering storm. They described increasingly frantic behavior by Alec. They described a tightening of financial pressures. Did you see any of that gathering storm? Was that something that you witnessed in their interactions or in any of his behavior?
No. First of all, Maggie had no idea about the financial stuff that was going on. She knew there was a lawsuit. She was told, like I said, the amount that she told me was the amount that Alec had told her was the 30 million. I found out later that it wasn't that amount, but that's what she told me that Alec had told her. As far as Alec, he was the last 2 months before Paul and Maggie were killed, he would kind of lounge around at the house, stay in the bed, watch TV, and they would call him and tell him, hey, your client's here. Oh, I'm on my way. He was still in the bed. So, and I didn't really think much of it because of the fact that he was also taking, anytime they called him about his dad, Mr. Randolph was not doing that, he wasn't, health-wise, he wasn't doing well. So he would run out, sometimes to go, be with his dad or take him out or stay at the hospital with him. So, he was tired, and I really didn't put two and two together, that I just figured he was tired. And then Maggie was worried about him too, because he was getting hardly any sleep, but I look back on it now, and perhaps maybe, all of the stuff that was going on, because he wasn't telling her everything that was going on. So I think he was holding a lot of that in, and it was building up, and he was just tired and not jittery, but kind of, he wouldn't hold conversations as much. He was constantly on the go, on the phone, that sort of thing. He never really, I didn't see a difference other than, he would stay at the house longer, but I just assumed that it was, his work schedule was not that busy, so I didn't think much of it. I didn't see them arguing. I didn't see them having any kind of, bad interactions. None of that.
Nothing like what's been portrayed.
Well, through the media, you mean?
Dramatizations.
Yeah, there's been a lot of drama behind that, but that wasn't within the home. I'd like to know who their expert witness was, because within the home they didn't argue. They would fuss every once in a while. Maggie was a perfectionist. She wanted certain, like I said about the white paint, and asking him, which one do you think? And then when she asked me, I was like, I think they fooled her, because they probably put the same color white and they told her it was different colors and different shades, but they all looked white to me. So I think Alex said the same thing.
You don't think she was out looking for a divorce attorney?
Oh, most definitely not. Mm-mm. No. That was, and I keep telling people, that was, somebody must have heard her joking around, and she mentioned divorce, but they didn't hear the rest of the conversation where she was going to divorce Alec and marry Tom Brady. There was speculation that Maggie had been looking for an attorney. I heard some stories, but the time that they said that she was out looking for an attorney, during that time that I heard she had gone, she was with her mom and her sister. They had gone down to the Keys to celebrate her mother's birthday. And so that was during the time that they say she was looking for an attorney. So, like I said, I kind of put the dates together when I started hearing stuff about that. And I was like, she was in Key West, with her sister and her mom. She was not.
Okay, for fair use, we got to stop every once in a while. But now listen, there are stories, and if you watch the thing on the documentary on Hulu about this family, which I have seen, there were stories that she did not ever want to come back to Moselle. She didn't want to live there. She wanted to stay in her beach house that she had because that's where she was comfortable. But I think due to financial situations, she was being forced to sell some of these properties. It's the way I remember this. Now I'm gonna have to go back and double check this. But the reason why he was in constant search of his next prey. Where was he going to get the next load of money? The only thing he could come up with was his wife and his child, right? Because he had everything else he had already stripped out and used up, and there was nothing left. So I'm sure he was, or his father, or maybe his mother or father, passing. Maybe that's where he would have got some. I don't know. I just know that it had to be so hard to walk around with this on your brain 24/7, trying to hide this from everybody. But there's no way, there is no freaking way that somebody at that firm did not know about this money long before it came out this way. Did they share in it? Who knows? Here we go.
She was not seeking an attorney. She would have said something to me about that, or she would have asked, what do you think about this? But I don't believe that story. I truly don't. I think somebody overheard her joking, about that, and I guess they took it out of context. But no, Doris, she was not divorcing Alex. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that night at Moselle. You were one of the last people. You were the last person to see this family together.
I saw Paul that Friday when he brought me the laundry basket full of clothes. And I talked to Maggie several times Monday. She called me about the Capri Suns. She said Alec wanted Capri Suns for me to go by the grocery store. I told her I would. And then she called me back and said, hey, I told you the wrong flavors. He wants this one and this one. Then I don't know, pineapple, I can't remember the flavors now, but And then probably later on throughout the day, texting and you know, we had some calls, but we texted, and she asked me to cook dinner because she was running late. She sent me a message saying she was at the doctor's office and that something dealing with Alex was tired and on the go. And I think I answered that she was, you know, being on the go doesn't help, you know, much. You all need to take some time to yourselves because they were constantly, you know, back and forth. And then I think I texted her right when I was getting ready to leave. I sent her the text, but I forgot to do something she had asked me to do, take some clothes up to the bunk room. So I put my phone down and I ran upstairs. You know, I went in the laundry room and then I went upstairs in the bunk room, dropped the stuff off, and then I left. But as I was walking out, when I went upstairs, I saw the white F-150 parked in front of the hangar because you could see it out the window. So I looked out and I saw the white truck, and I just assumed that Paul was home because Maggie had said Paul was coming, that Alec had also asked Paul to come home that night. And he said, well, he's not too happy about it, but, you know, he's on his way. You know, he's coming out there. And
Why do you think he wanted Paul to come home that night? What do you think that was about? We know what it was about, right? Because he had plans to take that child's life. Horrible. Okay.
when I was walking out the door, I had seen the truck out there. So when I was walking out the door, I saw the orange tractor on what used to be a landing strip, you know, on the property. And it was going towards the sunflower fields. So I just assumed it was Paul. So I left the front door unlocked because that's usually what I did, you know, if the boys were home. And I left. And she did not respond to my message, you know, about, you know, Paul being there. So I just assumed it was Paul. But I'm thinking now that she must have been doing her nails and she couldn't really answer. So, but I never got a response. So I just assumed it was Paul. And I found out later that it wasn't.
Yeah, his truck was in the shop.
Yeah, his truck was in the shop. He was driving Dolly, and I have no idea who was driving that tractor out there.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I want to drill in on that a little bit because you've got this amazing book that details not only your experiences with the family, your relationship with Maggie, adopting Bubba, which we'll talk about here in a minute, but you also wrote in the book about how after the murders, you started to remember things, see things, perceive things that set some alarms off, that maybe shifted your view, because in the immediate aftermath, you didn't think there was any universe in which Alex Murdaugh could have done it, correct?
No, I did not. Even to the day that I went to trial, I still was not convinced about it. I knew there were some things that were wrong, that were not in place, but I wanted to believe that I still wanted to believe that. Because of course, you know, you work for a family for so long and you know them in more of an intimate setting, you know, because there's no walls when they're in the house. You know, there's no barriers. They just act like a normal family, and sometimes, you know, they say and do things or act certain ways or do stupid stuff, but they're not thinking, they're in their home. But my big aha moment was when I actually, what convinced me was seeing the towel inside his Suburban, the Officer Green's body cam video, when I saw the towel.
This was the very first Collin
Pay
County
attention, watch
deputy
closely.
to arrive on the scene. This is the very first footage from the crime scene right after it happened. Tell us about the towel. What made that significant in your mind?
Let's see if they show
The
it.
towel on the seat told
Here we
me
go.
that Alec had been in that laundry room at Moselle.
It's right there.
That was one of the towels that I had laundered earlier and folded and placed up on the shelf in the laundry room. And so that told me he went in the laundry room. Also, one of the things that I noticed was Maggie's pajamas in the doorway to the laundry room, which was Maggie would have never done. Maggie would have never left her.
Okay. Now, I think the last time we talked about this, we watched her talk about this part. And so and then she starts talking about the closer in the next little section of this, which we've already seen that in our last part. Well, I don't know if you weren't with. Let's go ahead and we'll let it play again in case you weren't with us. Here we go.
Pajamas stretched out, it looked staged. It looked like it was set up. It was not. That was not Maggie. And I'll say that till like day. Maggie did not do that.
No, he was premeditating a stage.
Listening to
blame somebody else.
Mr. Waters said, "Did you have a burst of energy all of a sudden?" And it caught in my ear, and then I said, "What is he talking about?" Because I did not really go through every day of the trial. I did not really want to watch it because I just didn't want to see it. To me, it was hard to watch. But when I heard him say that, I said, wait a minute, what is he talking about? And then I went back, and that's when I listened. I started paying attention, and I kept going back, and I listened to some of where they described that his phone had absolutely no movement, and then all of a sudden he got a burst of energy. And that right there told me the burst of energy was him going in the house, and I guess he must have been in a frenzy, running back and forth. He must have gone in the laundry room, grabbed the towel, because it was like a light drizzle out there. So he must have, dried himself off, then ran in the room. I think he was running back and forth from the master bedroom to the laundry room. The pajamas that were laid out on the floor were in the second drawer of Maggie's side. She had a dresser on as a side table. The pajamas were in the second drawer, and the underwear were in the top left drawer in the back. So to me, that indicated that he set up the scene and was kind of like in a frenzy, just going back and forth, trying to get everything together, I guess.
I bet that was eye-opening for her.
That he could rush back and do whatever he needed to do. But that was the moment the towel kind of told me that he was in the laundry room. But when I heard the movement, all them steps he took all of a sudden, I think he said, were you doing jumping jacks or something to that effect? That kind of told me that kind of cemented my, that actual aha moment that I had when I saw the tail. And it was just a glimpse. It wasn't, if you look at the video, you barely, if you don't really pay attention, you'll miss it. And I kept telling my husband, go back, go back, go back. And when he went back, I said, so he did it.
That's when you realize.
Mm-hmm. I didn't need nobody else telling me. I knew at that moment. They can try to explain it any way they want to. But
do you think he had help?
This is important.
Really?
I do.
I got to ask the next question. Who do you think helped him?
I will not disclose that.
For reasons of?
My safety.
Yeah.
I do not blame her.
I know who they are.
You do?
I do. I know who they are.
You know who helped Alex Murdaugh murder?
I believe I know who they are. Yes. I do.
That leads to my next question.
Mm-hmm.
You have been critical of the investigation into these murders. Tell me, what is your main concern with how these murders were investigated? And would you, if questioned, share your suspicions?
I would, of course I would. I mean, there's no, I wasn't trying to be too critical of that. And I think in our small communities, we don't have that type of crime per se. From especially, a family such as theirs. You don't, you've never seen something like that. And I think there was too many people trying to solve the crime right when it happened. And I believe that needs to be addressed, especially.
This is kind of like that Stephen Stearns case. You hear all this stuff. Oh, they're bringing out this, they're bringing out that, they're bringing out this, they're bringing out that, and everybody's oh, charge Jen Soto, charge Jen Soto. Here's the deal. Even though the case is basically closed, just like Alex Murdaugh, this case is basically closed. They know they've already convicted him. He's the one. He's guilty. All right, we know that. Just like Stephen Stearns is guilty, we know that. They are not. Even though she has suspicions and they have suspicions, they are not going to reopen the case. They are not going to charge anybody else. There is no need. The person who is guilty is in prison already. The same with Stephen Stearns. As much as we would like to see everybody else who was involved of any sort of crime that's part of this be charged, it just won't happen. Right? You got to understand something when it comes to these kind of crimes. If you have a person in prison who is telling you this new information, all of a sudden they start talking and they start giving all this other information about this crime. They've already been convicted. They are a known liar. Who's going to believe them? Because if it was true and they would have told it to begin with, nobody, and at least in my opinion, nobody is going to get themselves sent to a prison without involving whoever else was involved so that they go to prison too. Nobody's going to cover like that. Nobody. Because, if you're spending the rest of your life in prison for something that a couple of you've done, you're going to make sure the other person is just as miserable as you are. Right? So, I understand why she's saying this, but I just don't think they'll ever reopen it. So here we go.
Especially some of the younger rookie officers, that I know they were trying to do their job, and I know they were, being told what they needed to do and all that, and that's fine. But
did they question you? Did SLED question you?
Not for a week and a half later. About a week and a half later passed before they spoke to me.
And obviously they waited to search the house. There were many other.
I had no idea. I was criticized for, it was said that I cleaned the crime scene, that I washed the blood out of the shower, that I, moved stuff around, straightened out. And so it deflected off of law enforcement. And I was the one that basically messed up the crime scene. Well,
okay, she talked about this last time, so I'm going to see if we can move a little bit further on down because I want them to go back and show you. Hang on a minute, guys. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can find this again. Just a second.
In the little house, pacing back and forth, and he hadn't shaved. His shirt was sticking, out of his pants on one side. He was holding that spit cup. He chewed tobacco. And he was like motioning. He said, I got a bad feeling, B. I got a bad feeling. Sit down, I need to talk to you. At that point, I didn't think much of it, but it kind of concerned me because it's like you never really sit down. Alex was always like, if you want to talk to me on the go. You know, you kind of had to follow him around. You didn't sit down. When he asked me to sit down, I was like, well, this must be
Starting the lie, I'm
something,
sure.
concerning to him. But I sat down, and that's when he said, you remember the shirt I was wearing, that Vinnie
See?
Vines? And I was,
Right there. He was trying to set her up right there, trying to get her to tell a lie that she remembered whatever shirt he was wearing because he was trying to cover it up already. Because I think that he knew that they were figuring this out, right? So hang on a second. Let me see. Hang on.
and now a second one, is gonna stir everything all up again. And it's not easy when you go through that. It is. It's hard, especially when you lived it. You were around it, and I didn't ask for all of this. I didn't. And but I think if they determine that he needs a new trial, then so be it. Do I feel that he deserves a new trial?
No.
The way that I feel about that is if he can answer the question how he could leave his wife and his son there and for a whole hour before calling 911, even though he claims he didn't do it. That's the hurtful part to me. That he
I mean, you hear that? He waited 1 hour. He had spent all this time cleaning up and all that, and somebody was still standing there because you can hear you hear what he says to them on that 911 call about here and the water hose spraying, right? So, I mean, by the time the cops actually got out there, nothing could be done. Nobody could be saved. Nothing. Because, if the person can't tell the story, they can't tell on you. So anyway, I'm gonna fix it, have to get off here and get some other stuff done, but I just wanted to come back and finish this up today about about the piece of crap that man really is, and how disgusting it is that because of other people's mistakes, not the court's mistakes, but somebody else, that this man might absolutely get a chance for another trial. That is a very expensive mistake, and I think that person needs to be held accountable. But of course, that won't happen either, right? Anyway, so glad to see you all today. I'm so glad you stopped by. I think that Sprinkle and I are going to try to go live either tomorrow night or Saturday night to start talking about the feel good story that we want to talk about, and that is there's this place over in San Antonio, Texas, and they are it's a primate place, and they are a rescue place for primates. Well, there's a special story over there about a chimpanzee, or they called him the humanzee, but he was not really humanzee. He was just a type of an ape that was found in the Congo that was very rare. Anyway, so we're going to start talking about that here pretty soon. But I just wanted to finish this up today, and I want to again thank you all for coming. Uh, Please hit that like button if you haven't. And whenever you come in and out, please do. I never ask. I always forget. I just always forget. Anyway, I guess I'll see y'all later on tonight. I'm sure I'll be moderating for somebody later on tonight. And if you get a chance, please go watch Lady Freedom talk about our Devlin Tate case. Her and I are working on that case together. We've got some information we're waiting on, but it's just taking longer to get it than we thought it would take to get it. But that's a very special missing child. I always pray they're going to find Summer. I pray they're going to find Sebastian. I really want Devlin to be found. I think that people need to really, if you have information, please call law enforcement. Do not call any other tip lines. They are not the people you need to talk to. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, you all be careful out there, be safe out there, and hug your babies today. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.